Hey everybody. So I wanted to do a little short video, just sort of talking about what I'm the most interested for in the new expansion coming out. so let's just jump right into it. I'm just gonna do like a quick top three, just to sort of give my thoughts. But we're gonna start with number three, right? Number three is the story continuation. So in my reaction, I sort of talked about this a little bit, but so for the story continuation, we're gonna find out more about Michaela. We're gonna find out, or Mikola, however you pronounce it. We're gonna find out more about. We're gonna find out more about the tie-ins of like Melania's brother, who is Mesmer the Impaler. Uh, and there's also just recently a new character that From Software just kind of like showed off. We don't know who they are. They kind of almost look like a custom character that you'd make. And they ask like, whose side are you on or whatever. So it kind of seems like what we might witness is sort of being placed in the middle of a war. And maybe that might even give us sort of a like multiple choice situation where we can go this side or we can go this side. I think that would honestly be an insane thing for them to do with a Souls game. Have two different, like, complete branching paths that you could take for a story, and you have to devote to one. Um, because the one thing about Souls games has always been people complaining about the story, saying that the story is not shit, or saying that like the quests are not really quests. And personally, I mean, as far as like the story goes, I've never really had much of an issue. Uh, like Dark Souls 1, incredibly deep story. Uh, Demon Souls, like maybe that wasn't so deep. Dark Souls 2, pretty damn deep. Dark Souls 3, pretty damn deep. Elden Ring especially felt deep, but that was everybody's biggest complaint about Elden Ring was the story wasn't there. Um, but then the quest lines. I mean, I was just always really fucked with every quest line. Um, at least for how you for what you can follow from them. That's been my biggest complaint, really. For questing has just been quest lines have always been a hard thing to follow. Uh, and it's easy to always get away from them and like lose track or even lose the opportunity to finish them. Um, Elden Ring did kind of fix that though. It'll kind of just advance you and push you along. But the downside to that is you sometimes miss lore and information if you accidentally skip one of those things. With the Ranny quest line, particularly like the Blade and Radon festival situation, there's a lot of opportunity to skip lore and insight in that sort of sequence that shouldn't be there. So I'm hoping that we can see like some, deeper quest lines, make it a little bit easier to follow. Just don't make it to where obviously it's like a fucking, Ubisoft, action game or whatever. But make it deeper, and I think it'd be cool if they went for like this branching path sort of thing. But number two that I'm most excited for, uh, is how they're going to be handling the dungeons in the DLC. So they've stated that they're going to do seamless dungeon transitions, like more seamless, because a lot of people were upset with the way that when you would go to do a dungeon, um, you'd just have like this blue line in the door, and that sort of transitions you and just says, "Yeah, you're in a dungeon now. You're out of the world," which a lot of people saw as like immersion breaking. Um, Personally, I never had much issue with it. Uh, the blue line thing, I do kind of see how it's immersion breaking. I personally didn't have much of an issue with it though. Uh, so that's just me. But um, they have said also that there's going to be like a dungeon that's literally sort of in the open world, like as a part of it. So that'll be, cool as well. I don't know if there's going to be ways to manipulate that and make the game easier. But we'll just have to see. I'm sure that they've thought about this and tried to put time and effort into making sure that doesn't happen. It's most likely why it took fucking, what has it been? 2 years, 2.5 nearly, to finish this up. So, I'm just going to trust in FromSoft and hope that they didn't fuck it up. And that's all I really can do. But my last thing, number 1 on the list that I'm most excited for, is new weapon types. I do, really love that, but specifically just the martial arts weapon type. Because Magic has always been sort of a touchy spot with Souls games. A lot of people hate it. It's always been sort of considered OP. And there's never really been like, at least in my opinion, there's never really been a true sort of happy medium for Magic. With Demon Souls, it was great because you had wands, and I thought that was really cool. And then the rest of the Souls games, it's usually sort of been from like a staff or something of the sort, or you'd end up with like a fucking like you'd end up with like a damn you'd end up with like a damn pyromancy hand or something of that sort, which I thought was cool. But it was never something like Skyrim, for instance, where you can hold magic in your hands and cast it out. And that's what we're seeing with the martial arts. Now, these sort of look to be more like what would you say? Ashes of War weapon art sort of things. But even still, I think it's gonna be awesome. Like, maybe if there is some that have sort of regular moves where you can just like punch or do some crazy ass like hand to hand sort of magic combat, sort of like Pyromancy hand was, but maybe a little bit more in depth and maybe add some range into that as well. I think it's gonna be awesome, especially coming from me. I'm a fan of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and first to second season, you had Hamon, which was pretty badass, honestly. You're like channeling your energy into like this martial arts combat. I loved that. And they completely did away with it pretty much, which sucks, but they had to evolve. But I think the martial arts is probably going to be my coolest, like most interesting, most hyped thing for this DLC by far. I love playing with new weapon types. I'm always trying to like expand my play style for Souls games because it makes it more fun. It also offers a lot of replayability. It's not just, oh, let me replay with this katana, let me replay with this katana, or this great sword. It's actually more like, oh, well, let me try out this build because it's completely different from the last one. Kind of get a feel for it, get some interest, see what's going on. And I like doing that sort of thing. I mean, I probably went the furthest with Demon Souls, honestly. I used like a scimitar sort of weapon, which I had never, or scimitar, which I've never really used before. I've always sort of hated those. But also in combination with magic, which was pretty interesting. I've always had a soft spot for magic in games. I've always tried to play the magician sorcerer build. Most of the time I end up being a little too critiquey and don't like it. So there's that. But let me know what you guys are most excited for in the DLC below. What are your top 3 things that you want to see? And we only have, what is it? I think 32 more days, and we will, or maybe it's 33. 33 more days, I believe, and we will have the DLC in our hands, and finally be able to just play it, and we'll know what our favorite things are. And it's honestly, I'm excited to get there. We've ran out of Soul stuff to play because we finished the marathon, and I'm just in sad hours now. I'm enjoying, being able to play some more chill stuff, but I need my Souls. So let me know what you guys think. Subscribe if you like it. Like it if you like it. Tell me if you don't. Tell me what I can improve on. Always trying to. Have a great rest of your day.